Will Mexico's regularization program continue in 2025? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel MyLatinLife. If you've been following the news or exploring ways to regularize your immigration status in Mexico, this video is for you. One of the most common questions I've been getting this month is, will Mexico's regularization program, the RNE, continue in 2025? And if so, will they accept entries from 2023 as a qualifier? Unfortunately, the answer is we don't know yet. Mexico's Immigration Office, INM, hasn't announced anything about 2025, and they're not likely to, honestly. They try to keep this thing under the, a little bit secret. But in this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know, including a quick guide to what the regularization program is, quick refresher, the current requirements to qualify, why the program has been successful, what you can do right now to prepare, whether or not the program continues in 2025, and kind of give you all the information that you need to assess your situation if you want to try to go for the regularization program, or if your eyes are really set on Mexico residency one way or the other, maybe the normal path to Mexico residency is the right path to you. And with this information, you can sort of determine what makes the most sense for you. So, quick guide to the regularization program. We have a dedicated video to this already, but I'll give you a quick overview in 30 seconds here. So, if you're hearing about the regularization program for the first time, here's what you need to know. The RNE, or Regularización de extranjeros means foreigners, is designed to help foreigners in Mexico who have overstayed their visas or fallen out of legal immigration status. It's a way to regularize your stay and gain temporary residency in Mexico without having to leave the country or face major penalties. Okay? So to qualify for the program, you need to meet a couple basic requirements. Number one, you need to be physically in Mexico. You can't apply for this program from outside the country. Number two, you must have visited Mexico at least once between 2011 and 2022 and have passport stamps or other proof of entry to show this. Okay? That proof could be on an expired passport as well. It doesn't have to be the current passport. And obviously there's a question about, will this extend to 2023 in 2025? Logically, it probably should. But just so you know, up till now, recording this in late 2024, you must have visited between 2011 and 2022. Another requirement is your current FMM tourist visa needs to be expired. So you need to have an expired tourist visa. In other words, you must be in an overstay status, meaning typically people get a 6-month tourist visa when they enter Mexico, and you have to overstay that, meaning you have to be, more than 6 months in Mexico without having left Mexico. Okay? You're also going to need a residential address in Mexico. And by the way, if you do the service with us, we'll provide an address for you. Those are some of the requirements. Once approved, you'll usually be granted temporary residency for between 1 to 4 years. Some of our clients are getting 1 year. Some of our clients are getting 4 years. It's kind of complicated, neither here nor there. At least you're going to get temporary residency one way or the other, and you're going to be working towards permanent residency, okay? And after that, you can renew your residency and work towards permanent residency in the future, okay? And by the way, we have other videos on this channel explaining some of the differences between temporary and permanent residency. So why is the RNE program, the regularization program, so popular? So this program is a lifeline for so many people, especially those that overstayed their tourist visa during the pandemic or who've made Mexico their home but didn't meet the traditional residency requirements. So what makes it popular and what makes it distinctive is there's no need to leave Mexico, okay? Because for many, leaving the country and starting the process abroad is costly and complicated, and this program eliminates that step entirely. Traditionally, Mexico residency, you apply from your home country at the Mexican embassy or consulate in your home country. So typically, if you're Canadian or American, the residency process would start in Canada or the USA, but for regularization, the process starts in Mexico. Okay. Another thing that makes it popular is the simplified requirements. So unlike other residency paths, you don't need to show proof of income or savings, making it obviously accessible for more people because the income requirements are over $4,000 per month USD of income, and a lot of people don't meet that threshold. There's also savings and a couple other ways to qualify, but at least with this particular program, you don't have to show income or savings at all. Okay? So that's kind of two of the big things that make this program popular. Now, I think it's probably worth mentioning at this point in time that this program wasn't really intended for what you might call like first worlders. I think where, it's kind of hard to explain where this program, so there's Canadians and Americans and other first worlders who are overstaying their tourist visa, and they're doing this visa. But one thing you need to keep in mind is actually the majority of regularization cases in the migration system in Mexico are from people from the third world who are overstaying their tourist visa because Mexico is just a better life for them. So, for example, last time I was at the migrations office a couple weeks ago, I saw a Colombian guy doing the regularization program. And so there's a lot of Venezuelans and Colombians and Ecuadorians and people from all over Latin America, and then people probably from other countries, maybe Africa or Haiti, things like that, who are also doing regularization program. So probably just worth putting in perspective that this program is not just for, Canadians and Americans that overstayed during the pandemic or something like that. It's actually primarily used by people from economies that are less strong than Mexico, and they say, hey, let me just stay in Mexico. I'm making more money in Mexico, type of thing. And those people, the Ecuadorians and so forth, they want to regularize so that they can get a work permit, and that might not be your goal. Obviously, at MyLatinLife, our clients are Canadians and Americans and Europeans, people like that want to do the regularization program. Lots of digital nomads. Okay. We don't really handle the Ecuadorians and these kinds of people, but just so you know, it's kind of a mix of the two. And obviously, I think the migrations office, in general, they prefer to see the Canadians and Americans than they do the Ecuadorians and Venezuelans and so forth. But they're accepting both. Okay, so now let's tackle the big question: will the program continue in 2025? So here's the truth. No one knows yet. The INM, Mexico's Immigration Office, doesn't release these details in advance. They evaluate and renew programs like this year by year. So until any official announcement is made, any predictions about 2025 are just speculation. But let's go ahead and speculate a little bit in this video. Note that what I just talked about, right? That a lot of the people doing this program are actually Venezuelans, Ecuadorians, people from other countries around the world, other kind of quote unquote third world countries. And so those type of people are still coming to Mexico. They're still traversing Mexico to come to the U.S. border. Excuse me. And so Mexico is still getting more and more irregular immigrants. So for me, from my perspective, this program essentially needs to continue because Mexico has not gotten tight on the border at this point in time, at the time of this recording. And even if they did get tight on the border, there would already still be so many people inside Mexico. We're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in an irregular status in Mexico. Hondurans as well, Guatemalans, Nicaraguans, and so forth. And so Mexico sort of needs this program to regularize these people. And Mexico probably wants to regularize these people because that way they can get them work permits, they can get them an RFC, which is a tax number, a tax ID number in Mexico, and make them taxpayers. So this regularization program is actually sort of a stepping stone to regularizing the Hondurans and Venezuelans and so forth, so that they can become taxpayers and they can work above the table and contribute to the Mexican system. Does that make sense? So for that reason, I think this program will have to continue in 2025 and beyond. And of course, the new president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, she's very liberal and sort of open to irregular immigration. She loves irregular immigration. She wants people, she's facilitating the caravan. She's facilitating people traversing Mexico to come to the U.S., and she's also facilitating people to just stay in Mexico if they, don't go to the U.S. for whatever reason. And if the U.S. starts getting more strict about the illegal immigration situation there, a lot of those people who would have otherwise gone to the U.S., they might just opt to stay in Mexico and say, hey, well, actually the Mexican system's pretty good, the banking's pretty good, I can get a job that pays reasonably well. And I think a lot of those people will just opt to stay in Mexico if the U.S. kind of gets a little bit more strict in terms of what they're doing. Does that make sense? So, why should you act now? If you're eligible for the program right now, don't wait to apply. Many I&M offices across Mexico close their appointments and they only book months in advance. So it's actually very hard to get an appointment in general with the I&M offices, not just for regularization, but in general. So if you're, already in an overstay or you're going to be in an overstay status within the next couple months, like if you're already, 4 months into your visa and you're saying to yourself, hey, well, why don't I just stay an extra 60 days, strategically overstay, and then do regularization? I would say basically sign up for our residency service now, even before you're officially in an overstay, so that we can start planning with you and so that we can make your appointment, okay? Because the appointments are booking quite a ways out. And we had a particular guy, a client recently, who overstayed, but his flight out of Mexico to go to a conference or something was at like the 7-month mark. And so he essentially had 1 month between the expiration of his tourist visa and his flight to get the regularization done. And it ended up being right down to the wire in terms of getting him an appointment. And we had to use extraordinary measures to sort of like get I&M to see him and for him to be seen within his particular time frame, because there just weren't appointments. So what I would say is if you're planning to do this, if you're going to be in an overstay status soon, or if you're already in overstay status, get in touch with MyLatinLife ASAP. You can either book you can book a call with us. You can book a 60-minute call to become our client and get the ball rolling, get all your burning questions answered. Or you could just go straight to ordering the regularization service. Both links will be in the description to this video. So we can start either way. We can just get right into the regularization, or you can book a call with us, intro call, and we can kind of build a strategy that way. Okay? And by the way, even if the program continues in 2025, the requirements could change. So there's no guarantee that you'll still qualify under the new rules if it exists at all. So taking action now is really your best bet. And that's kind of how things work with everything in the world of immigration and visas and passports. It's a very dynamic thing. Programs close all the time. So when you're eligible for something, you just got to grab it, because you never know when the door is going to close. So, what if you're not eligible yet? So, what if you don't qualify for the RNE program? Maybe you're not in Mexico at this point in time, and overstaying a 6-month tourist visa just doesn't really make sense to you, just based on your travel plans and so forth. So, there are tons of other pathways to legal residency in Mexico. Including the temporary residency visa, which often requires proof of income or savings. So that's the big one. The main one we do is just a normal Mexico residency visa or temporary residency visa. It's the main one we do at MyLatinLife. Another one is the family reunification visa. So if you have a spouse or a child that's a Mexican citizen, or that's a resident of Mexico, or a parent that's a resident of Mexico, then lots of different ways that we can do family reunification to bring families together. And one we do a lot is we'll maybe get residency the normal way for, say, a retiree. Maybe if you're a retiree watching this, for example, we get you Mexico residency the normal way, and then we can bring in your kids. Maybe you have like adult kids that are in their 40s or something like that. And we bring them in with family reunification, and we kind of say like, hey, yeah, your kids will be looking after you. You're dependent on them, and we can reunify families that way and get the whole family Mexico residency. Okay. So if you have questions about other paths to Mexico residency, because maybe regularization doesn't work for your particular situation, book a call with us. There's a link in the description. I'm sure we'll be able to get you Mexico residency one way or another. So some final thoughts here. Will the regularization program continue in 2025? We're hopeful. We think it's highly likely, but of course nothing is certain. If you qualify today, don't wait. Act now while the program is still available. And if you're wondering what to do next, we've got you covered. Okay, book a call with MyLatinLife. We'll figure out your whole strategy, your whole plan, answer any burning questions you have related to this, and figure out the best way to get the coveted Mexico residency card in your hands as quickly as possible. Cool. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs the information, and we'll catch you in the next video.